Greetings everyone, this is Connor from DagoraTV, and this is my review or recap, if you will, of my game time with Dishonored 2 at EGX 2016. So, if you're a subscriber to the channel, then you'll know that I was at the EGX convention in Birmingham about a week ago now, is when this video is getting posted, and I'm sorry this video is late, but this is the closest time I was able to record my impressions of the game and things like that. But I was able to get actually a queue jump for Dishonored 2 because this is the first time Dishonored 2 has actually been playable at an event containing, E3, packs, things like that. And this is the first time it's ever been playable. So, yeah, EGX 2016 was a hashtag going around, and there was a big queue to get it. There was up to 2-3 hour queues that was there, as we was walking around on both the days we went on the Saturday and the Sunday. But I was actually able to win a competition on the Eurogamer website. And so was the people that I was with, so we was able to get a queue jump, so we could skip the queue and be able to play Dishonored 2, and we was basically given an introduction that we was playing in a mansion, and we was going to be taunted by a protagonist, and it was going to be, you could play as either Emily or Corvo. I personally played as Emily, and we would go through the house and do one of the two objectives, which was either save the ally, which you've got, and you can go ahead and do that, get him out, and then go ahead and kill the antagonist of the mansion itself, or you can completely ignore the ally and just go ahead and kill the antagonist. So the woman who was talking to us before we went in basically said to us that if you want to kind of explore the mansion more, then go ahead and save the ally. If you want to just do it as quickly as possible, get over and done with, then you can go ahead and kill the antagonist first and get it over and done with. But we obviously, with the half an hour that we've got there, we wanted to see as much as possible and do as much as possible. And so I obviously opted to go and save the ally, which was something that really kind of like is a choice that's kind of put on you about 2 minutes into the demo. So you just kind of throw it straight in there. I was given the chance, obviously to play Emily. You go in there, you get able to walk around a little bit, and then you go into the mansion. You step in, sneaking in, take out a couple of robot enemies, and then move on. And you hear the antagonist's voice kind of calling at you, saying that he knows that you're here, he can hear you, things like that, taunting you really kind of a bit too much in my opinion. He was taunting you kind of over the top, and that's something that I actually said to the people there. And then once you're into the room, then you also have you've into this main foyer of the room, basically, of the mansion, and you've got to find a way to kind of get through. And you find a lever, and the lever opens, you pull the lever, and it kind of transforms the room in a way. The walls kind of fall into each other, and it becomes a completely different room. And then passages open to different areas of the house, and that's where I went down one of them and met the antagonist for the first time, and he ran away, and you'd have a marker and it's kind of in front of you that you'd generally see in a lot of video games, where it'd be, say, like 36 meters away or whatever like that. There was one of them pointing to him, there was another one pointing to the ally, but it wouldn't tell you the path you'd have to go. So one thing for me was when I was finding the ally, I'd be following the marker to try and get to him, but I'd end up being actually on top of him and had to go all the way back and around to get under him, or to get in on the same level. So that's basically what I did next. I go ahead and did that. I went into the room where the ally was, and he's kind of like in this prison, which is kind of like surrounded by enemy robots again, which are kind of hard to kill. I did die a few times fighting them. It was a game where I was watching around, looking at some of the other monitors after as well, and watching some other people play, and a lot of people were dying, and not me included. I was dying a lot, and it definitely was kind of like a trial and error experience, because it was, and they said to us it was about 4 hours in overall into the experience of the game. So once we went back to the game, when we was into the demo, we go into this kind of like, it was like a little bit of a maze. You step on one platform, and then other doors drop over the walls, drop, and different passages open, and enemies come at you and things like that. So you're fighting enemies all the time. You can try and sneak around, but the maze part, I kind of found it pretty much impossible to kind of sneak around, to be honest with you. But you basically, they're using your abilities. So the 3 abilities that I was able to use with Emily was Domino, which is the one that we saw in the E3 demo, where you place that on each of the people that you're fighting against, and then you attack one of the people, and then all of the people will feel the same effect. I used that a lot of the time when I was sneaking around, especially the other parts of the household going towards the antagonist. Another one was the classic one that you see from Corvo's playthrough in Dishonored, the one where I think it's called Quick Jump or something like that, where you're able to fast forward into a completely different location. And the other one was Shadow Crawl or Extreme Sneak or something like that, which you would have seen in the trailers, I believe, for Dishonored 2, where you take over kind of like a shadowy form, and it makes it easier to sneak through, which is something that I didn't really get a huge use out of in this area of the mansion, because I found, to be honest, I was enjoying myself kind of going through it, bullying my way through the enemies, fighting them all one by one, kind of getting to grips with the combat system, whereas in my real playthrough, I'll be mainly using those abilities and the domino ability a lot more, as frequently as I did to get a sneak playthrough, because I wasn't really going for that with this experience. But with Emily, the way I kind of like enjoyed the kind of different aspects to the abilities that we had, whereas with Corvo, because I had a friend who played Corvo, and he said that they were very much the same abilities that you had in Dishonored 1. So if you're familiar with that, and you're looking into that for the next Dishonored game, then you'll be able to do that with Corvo. So with Emily, I was able to, go through the motions, find the ally, and then you've got to pick him up and keep him safe. So you're going back through the mansion, taking him out, and so on and so forth. And then you're coming back in, and after that, and I had about 5 or 6 minutes left at that point to go ahead and find the antagonist, kill him, and then be done with the mission. And basically find my way through back to where I was before, in the main foyer, and then finding a different path through to get to the antagonist. And I didn't get there in time before the demo actually ended. I was spending kind of too much time with really kind of getting my way around the maze, dying too many times as well. Kind of getting a little bit lost as well, and a few reasons why I had to stop as well. In a couple of weaknesses I'll bring up in a second, but all in all, like the aesthetic of the game was absolutely fantastic. It was absolutely beautiful playing on all Ultramax settings we played. You could play with keyboard and mouse, or you could play with a controller. Everyone was playing with a controller, which is pretty much the story of the EGX convention. When you've got the option for both. I sometimes, wanted to play with keyboard and mouse, and sometimes I actually did. But with this particular game, I played with controller because that's how I want to play Dishonored 2. So, it was really well to play on a controller as well. So there may be a couple of things I'm going to change with the map, like maybe change the way the wheel works. Instead of using it with the D-pad, I might use the right analog stick or something like that, mainly because I think that it kind of flows a little bit better that way. But then again, along with that, because when I generally use my camera in those kind of games, I like to use the D-pad as buttons as well, which is a little bit weird. But the left and right bumpers would be ways to kind of toggle between the gun weapon or poison weapon in your left and right hand. Right trigger would be use of the blade in your right hand, and left trigger would be use of the weapon in your left hand, and things like that. But all in all, it was a cool level to play through. We didn't really get any story spoilers at all. It was just basically being toyed through this mansion. But I think we probably left a few bits of dialogue out, to not give you story spoilers. I was really kind of nudging on that and kind of encouraging it, obviously, to kind of stay away from it, which is, I think, why a lot of people played Corvo, really, because they wanted to kind of refrain from any little references here and there, which we didn't really get many, to be honest with you, me playing Emily. The only time I'd probably say there was a little bit of reference to the story was like the person who you saved the ally was kind of like, you are the one who was an old man, who I think you meet at the beginning of the game or something like that. You definitely haven't met him before anyway in the game, because I definitely got that vibe. And you go and you're able to save him with a little bit of a conversation before he passes out. But for the weaknesses of the game, the first off that I want to say is the FOV in the demo was absolutely terrible. It was so zoomed in, so bad that I'd say pretty much everyone in the demo was getting a little bit motion sick. I don't get motion sick. It's rare that I get motion sick. I get it a little bit, but not too bad. And I was feeling absolutely terrible, like when I was playing. And there was a few intervals when I was like having to look how long there was left, and I'd had to pause the game and generally look down and have a little bit of a breather to myself, or have a quick drink of water, because I just wasn't feeling good playing the game. And I was just looking around. There was even people with Dishonored cosplay on playing the game who were just literally having to do the same, pause the game and stop and look down. I had a look in the options menu. You couldn't mess around with it in there, because I think it's restricted for a demo, obviously. And there was the first thing that me and my friends talked about as soon as we got out of there. I was like, Jesus Christ, like that was like a headache to play. It was bad to play on them settings, because it did make you feel sick, because it was so zoomed in. Like you couldn't really get. First off, it just of seeing people behind you, and every time you moved, it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like you was on a really, really bad sea trip, like really, really bad ship, whereas, it's rocking and waving all the time, and it just didn't feel good, to play. It just didn't feel great in your body, it just felt absolutely, it felt sick, to be honest with you, after playing it. We all had to sit down, actually had to have a tablet, because I was feeling kind of that bad after playing it. But, like, that isn't something that's going to be a problem when it comes out in release, because you are able to scale back, the FOV of the game. And, if they have it at a point where, because I like to have it around 110, which is, 20 more than what is generally gives us 2 setting toggles back of what is normally there, because that's kind of how I'm kind of comfortable with it. But with other games, I'm kind of on the same places as well. But, if they don't put it into the game, if they can only put it to 100 or something like that, then there will obviously be mods, coming out, to be able to pull it back further and things like that a couple of weeks after release, which, if you have to wait for, so be it. But I doubt that'll be the case. Bethesda tend to be really good with those kind of things. So that's really the main weakness, which I have to say with it. But that kind of had a big effect of really gameplay, because, I didn't really want to be jumping around too much inside it, so I wasn't really getting a true test of what was really happening inside the the gameplay mechanics, because I wasn't really feeling it, at the time. I didn't want to be jumping around. I was kind of turning slower. I was taking my time a little bit more. Whereas in the real game, I want to be jumping around feeling good, I want to be feeling okay. And, like the YouTube video that we saw of it in at E3, where, they showed it in the Bethesda conference, it felt great. It looked great to be jumping around from place to place with that game, and I kind of want to have that experience, and we should be able to if they pull the FAOV back, because that was really something that kind of distracted me personally, a lot of it, and a lot of other people as well. But all other than that, though, it was a great first impression. I will say the taunts from the antagonists were very repetitive. It seemed that they had only recorded 4 or 5 taunts in this build, and they kept repeating them at you over and over again, kind of like Bioshock 1 style, and it was getting a bit ridiculous and a bit infuriating to hear the same thing over and over again. But I'm sure that's just a thing with an early build. If it's not, then that's something that we can able to say in the final build of the game. But at this moment in time, though, what I will say about Dishonored 2 is that, I'm still very hyped for it. It was a shame that, I had those problems with a little bit of motion sickness. But all in all, it was very strong, and, I encourage you all to definitely look at some more gameplay when the game comes out, look at some reviews, and generally make a judgment if the game's right for you. But there was enough for me to get a judgment there to know that I'll be playing it. Whether I get it at launch is debatable, because I want to know if those FOV settings are in there, and if they're not, then I will wait for the mod to come out, because it was just I couldn't play it on those. I cannot play the full game on them settings. I'd have to have a break every 5-10 minutes. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching the video, and leave your comments on if you're excited for Dishonored 2, and if you actually was at the EGX convention and had a chance to play the game, then let us know what you thought of it there. And if you've got any questions about it as well, about the demo, about certain mechanics and things like that, put them in the comments as well, because I'll be replying to all of them, or maybe even do a EGX reply video or something like that on top of that, where I do a video replying to all the comments if people want to hear more and things like that. So thanks a lot. Make sure you put them in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter, DagoraTV, and subscribe for more. Goodbye.